Okie dokie. What's the date today? It's been a few days actually since the last video diary. Been quite a few days. I think the last video diary was the Thursday the 15th of Feb. Today it's Wednesday the 21st of Feb. There's just been various things going on that have meant we just haven't had time basically, but yeah, so what happened on for Thursday the 15th last week was the day when Chris was doing the service and MOT on Oxwich. That all went ahead as planned. Yeah, the user manual says that it needs a service every 18,000 miles, but I've decided just to do it every year. I already have enough problems that keep cropping up, so mechanically I feel like almost we're at the stage where mechanically everything's sound. There's
basically replaced everything in the motorhome.
Not quite. There's
basically
other more expensive things that, like the engine and the turbo, which I pray don't go wrong, or the gearbox and all that.
The turbo?
On the engine. But yeah, so I think mechanically it's in a good place. You just need to change one thing on the strut brace. But yeah, apart from that, so basically, I sort of question how much of a service the motorhome got before I bought it. And Chris basically said that all the filters were absolutely disgusting.
Filters?
So,
what type of filters?
Yeah, air filter, engine oil filter, all these things. Like our body has kidneys and livers and all that sort of stuff.
Basically our kidneys are horrible.
We have filters, but luckily for us, our body grows new cells when old cells die. That doesn't happen on an engine. When things die on an engine, they have to be replaced. So yeah, and I had noticed the exhaust smoking more than normal. I could never notice it in the daytime, but at dusk or night time, when there are headlights kind of shining behind us, I could definitely see more smoke coming out the exhaust, which I absolutely don't want because of pollution. So yeah, getting everything changed, doing the service and MOT. The MOT has to happen yearly because it's an old vehicle, but the service, I'm going to do that yearly at the same time as the MOT, because then it's like a milestone thing in each year. And then I asked Chris about should we put any of the cleaner in the diesel to help flush through any like built up carbon and all that sort of stuff in the engine. And he actually said that based on a course he went on, that it is just best to put like the ultra or the super type of fuel. Now for me it would be like ultra diesel or ultimate diesel, or it depends on the brand name of the different fossil fuel companies. And so I have tried that. I put this. I normally put in £40 a week. I tried putting the same £40 in on Sunday just gone. So yeah, it's Thursday now. And let's see if, and I'm going to do a bit of research, because I figure if it feels like I'm spending more, but over time it's actually better for the engine and it is overall more efficient and less pollution, even if it costs me a bit more, I'm okay with that. So yeah, I'm trying out ultra or ultimate diesel. So that was that. And then on Friday, Friday the 16th, Arthur and I were back together, and we drove over. I was already at Steve's near Leamington, and Arthur came later in the evening, and then we were going over to go to the motorhome and caravan show at the NEC on
camping and caravan show
on Saturday the 17th. Yeah, there was a big camping area as well. There's probably not loads for us to see, but it's interesting seeing some of the camper van conversions. And
I got a bit bored.
Well, you did, yeah. Although but you could have gone on some other things, weren't there? For like activities, there was a climbing wall. but there was such a queue, there kind of wasn't a lot of time on the climbing wall. And then there was a massive like swimming pool type area with kayaks and paddle boards. But Arthur didn't want to go on the kayak and paddleboard. Probably worried he was going to fall in and be wet all day.
No, it just looked a bit boring.
Yeah, okay. Well, if you were already bored, you can't have been that bored. So we did that, and what was I inspired about? I can't remember the idea it gave me. God knows, but all of this is inspiration for if after this year we do want to keep living this life, and if we do want to change what we've got, then it gives us inspiration if we were to build our own do our own van conversion.
Daddy, I've got like something that I could say on this about our own van conversion.
Yeah.
Conversion.
Go for it.
So, can you hold this and point it towards the sofa, like here-ish?
Yeah.
So have you got the whole sofa?
Yep.
This part?
Yep.
So maybe in a van conversion that we do, maybe we could have this does it a V-shaped sofa?
Is this the shape of a V? It's an L.
Oh yeah, an L-shaped sofa. And like maybe underneath one of these, like normally, where the underneath part is, I could have like a little gaming room, so I could it'd just be a bit bigger, so I could squeeze in, and I could like have a mini screen there, some charging ports, a mini light.
Okay.
And you people who need a whole room, furniture.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's unlikely, to be honest. That's called having a house. But we would definitely make it. We would customize it to ourselves. So that was that. Yeah, there was something at the Motorhome show. I thought about. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, it was. We were mainly there because Steve and Debs wanted to buy an awning and a few other bits for their motorhome, which they did. And then on Sunday the 18th, more problems. So it rained quite hard. Now, just remembering that a month ago, roughly, Dan replaced literally all of the window seals, which includes all the window seals, and then readjusting kind of the latches so that the windows are shut really tight. And then I woke up on Sunday morning to find a pool of water in that corner of the rear window, with water having dripped down and made all the cushions wet, which I was well annoyed about. So need to have a look. Basically, I'm wondering if there's some part of the perspex that isn't flat or needs to be cleaned or something like that, so it's stopping the seal from sealing properly. I'm wondering if the strip above the hinge could have silicone on it or anything. What are you doing?
Just turning the internet thing on.
It's already on. Okay.
Hopefully this doesn't.
Yeah. Don't. You're gonna have to wait. And then so that's the water leak, and then even worse, we then no.
No, it's facing you. It's just facing you.
Like that.
Okay.
And then even worse to do with water. Steve kindly let us fill up our onboard water tank, and then we drove into Evesham to go and do the weekly shop. And I'm stood in the back here with no shoes on, and I feel a bit wet on my foot. So I'm looking down, and I can see the towel is damp because we put towels down instead of carpets. It's much easier to shake out. And I'm thinking, oh Jesus Christ! I'm thinking that I've left the skylight open, and then but I hadn't. And then I'm thinking, oh, it must have leaked up there. And then in the end, I find out, like, by moving the towel and having a look, basically in the cupboard underneath me now. There's water all in the underneath there, and I'll basically make my way around to taking off this cushion and seeing that the water tank that's here, there's a filler pipe that goes into like a connector that goes into the water tank, and when you fill it right up, water sits in the pipe, and basically water's been dripping all night because Steve let me fill up on Saturday, so it was dripping all night, and basically underneath the whole of the L-shaped sofa it was really wet. Now that I worked out why then, that the bedding I had under this one was all wet. I thought it was condensation, but it wasn't. It was obviously mopping up all the water that had been leaking when I filled it up previously at the campsite. It's just so lucky that that's the only 2 times I filled up the water tank all winter because of worry of freezing. So that was pretty lucky.
Thank God you didn't.
Yeah. And then also underneath that sofa was loads of Arthur's toys and books and all that sort of stuff. And that everything that was touching the floor was soaking wet. Tennis racket, bag, and all this sort of stuff. And it smelt musty. So it shows that must have been leaking for a long time. So yeah, I'm pretty annoyed. We're basically in the long stay car park in Evesham, and everything from underneath here, including all the cushions, is all out. There's nowhere to walk or stand. It looks like a war zone, and I'm just thinking, how the hell are we going to sort this out? In the end, luckily, it was a lovely sunny day. Luckily, we've got our friend's plot to go back to, so we were basically able to take everything out, put it in one of his sheds, leave that to dry while we basically mopped up and cleaned up in here.
And this is a shed load of water.
Yeah, and then put on the diesel heater. Luckily, the diesel heater's underneath here, so I disconnected the pipes, so they were just blowing underneath the sofas. I moved that cushion forward, so it trapped in the heat, but it allowed the like moisture to rise out the back. Left the windows on the latch, and then hung up the towels, put them on the airer. So it was a bit of a whole big mission. So yeah, I think if we were to buy any other motorhome,
check the water tank first.
Well, no, it's not just that. The moral of the story is to check everything, but check it by using it. It's just something I just wouldn't have known. But yeah, check it by using it. Basically, before putting anything into the motorhome, I would make sure it's complete, as empty as possible, and then I'd go through each different thing and try it. Like, for example, fill up the water tank completely full with nothing around here at all, so you can have a look all around it, make sure there's no leaks, make sure it's all kind of stable and all that sort of stuff. Do this, put the cooker on and put the oven on and do the fridge freezer, and do each individual thing separately to really get to grips with it all and to really sense check it within the warranty period. Yeah, that was a bit of a nightmare, and I was pretty stressed out as well because that same day on Sunday the 18th we were dog sitting for Sunny, who's our friend's dog. So I was a bit overwhelmed with things, but in the end it means that I've had a proper clear out underneath the sofas, a proper mop up and clean and all that sort of stuff, so it's all nice and clean under there. We also used it as an opportunity to have a sort out of some of Arthur's toys, which has been on the list anyway, so it kind of prompted us to do that. And then what else? Monday the 19th, the only thing I wrote down for that day was that we came up with a new rule for screens. I've really avoided having rules. My aim as a authoritative parent, which is a parenting style that's basically progressive, is to make it all inclusive and give you the opportunity and give you all the facts so you have final decision. But it hasn't quite worked with screens, has it? You do just turn into a zombie, and at the moment you're not able to overcome that yourself. I know, my darling. So what we came up with was we already had a 7 o'clock alarm, which is to get ready, but what happens now is the screen's down and get ready.
As soon as...
Well, it wasn't quite as soon as, was it?
Well, the first day I did it as soon as like I
Yeah,
did.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So that makes, so it's all about, and then I'm sort of jumping ahead, but another day we might be in the same day. So we basically said that Arthur is in charge of jobs in the mornings, because that's when I'm trying to work. I'm probably also trying to drive and park somewhere. Got to do this like school run and all that sort of stuff. So Arthur basically is in charge of everything in the mornings. Obviously, all of his own stuff, getting ready, doing normal things. I obviously do my teeth and get dressed and have a wash if I need to and all that sort of stuff. But Arthur will prepare our breakfast, do the washing up, put the washing up away, so all that sort of stuff in the mornings. Sorry, noisy people driving past. Which I have to say is such a mega help, because there's just so many things to juggle in the morning. And when I'm trying to actually work and be productive, it's so helpful. It's been absolutely amazing you doing that. And so the rule is basically from 7 o'clock, get all the jobs done, your own jobs, and then any joint jobs. And then as soon as you're finished, if you're quick, then you have time to chill out again until 8 o'clock when we go to the park, if we're going to the park before school. And then in the evenings, I'm responsible for all joint jobs. So I'll prepare dinner, I'll do the washing up and all that sort of stuff. And that gives Arthur some breathing space for doing like English learning or maths learning or whatever, which we're not calling homework, because it shouldn't be seen as homework. It's just developing yourself, ultimately. And school isn't the end goal. School is just there to help you do whatever you want to do when you're older. So yeah, that gives Arthur a bit more flexibility in the evenings, and then also what we said, we're going to mix up like learning and all that sort of stuff in the evenings. That we were using ChatGPT, we were just doing English based on what Arthur's learning in the term at school. But what we're going to do now, like one afternoon, Arthur might do that. Another afternoon, we might do the snap circuits, where we like plan a snap circuit and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of different ways to educate yourself and improve your skills. It doesn't have to just be specifically maths or specifically English. We can incorporate those things into other activities that we do. So yeah, that's what we do. And then so then Monday, but then also Monday was also the first work day looking after Sonny, the dog, and he was really, really good. So we basically left him at the plot when I dropped off Arthur at school, and then I drove back, and then he came in the motorhome to collect Arthur. He was absolutely brilliant. So he like sat up in the cab with us, and it just took it in his stride basically. So that was really cool. And then I was going to stay in the motorhome because I wasn't sure if people at the office were happy with having a dog, but they basically insisted I went in because they wanted to see the dog. So we went into the office with Sonny yesterday, and again he was really, really good. And it was more motivation to get up every hour to go for a walk and have a stretch and get out, get away from my laptop and all that sort of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then what else? So today is Wednesday 21st. So we've just been climbing. We're sort of got the flexibility to stay where we want, really. So instead of driving all the way back to the plot, because we've come back from Worcester, we decided just to stay in Perthshire ultimately, which means it'll be a day tomorrow morning when we're not having to travel, which is great. And then sort of less time also because we're not traveling, less cost and less pollution and that sort of stuff. You can probably see by what I'm wearing, the temperature is warmed up again. What's the weather doing at the moment? So we're about 11 degrees. I mean, again, it might sound cold to people that live in a house, but it feels great. We're not having to worry about the diesel heater, which actually is something I found out with all the leak and getting this to bits. The hot air pipe that Dan had connected to go to the battery box has actually come off, so that hasn't been working at all. So thank God it hasn't got that cold again. So that's on the job list for Dan to do when he does the shower and some other jobs. And yeah, I'd say that's probably it as a bit of a whistle-stop tour of this last almost a whole week. As far as my piano lessons, so really happy with the Roland Go piano. When I tested it, it doesn't use a lot of electricity, so that's working really, really well, being off-grid in the motorhome. Also done some testing with my old Chromebook versus a new Windows laptop, and I'm actually really impressed with the Windows laptop. It sort of uses a spike of electricity when it needs to use its power, use the processor, like if I'm opening a load of tabs in Chrome. But then when it's just ticking over and you're working normally, it uses less electricity than the Chromebook. The only thing at the moment with the Windows laptop is it needs to be plugged into like the inverter and the leisure battery while I'm using it. Whereas the Chromebook I can run off a power bank. It just means that I need to buy a power bank where you can put in a 3-pin plug. But to be honest, it's all working quite well. If I had to go off grid and plug in the Windows laptop and plug in the Starlink internet, that might be a bit of a problem, and that would be when I would need a power bank. But yeah, we're sort of it's working all right, and we're getting through the worst of winter at the moment, heading towards spring, and we should be having more daylight, and then the solar panels and the leisure battery will the solar panels will come into their own, really. That's probably everything, I'd say. So yeah, that's it for this one. We'll try not to leave it too long, and then we'll have a bit more of a detailed update from each day. Yeah, that's it, and check back for the next one.